News.
It's midday. A very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are live from our studios at number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. The news is also live on all our partner stations across the country and around the world. We are live on citynewsroom.com. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa and this afternoon I'm here with
Kweku Ediamansa.
Coming up, operators of tricycles in Kumasi hold a crunch meeting with city authorities in a bid to resolve an impasse over a decision to restrict their movement in the central business district. Also coming up, Minority in Parliament questions the basis for the Bank of Ghana's decision to write off 32 billion cedis as a result of the domestic debt exchange program.
You see, Bank of Ghana is not somebody's insurance company. It is not the same as bank or other financial institutions that you can bulldoze your way and write off. These are public funds. They must come to Parliament by a resolution of a simple majority.
Still ahead, National Labour Commission directs striking members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana to call off its strike as processes are underway to have their concerns addressed.
We rather impress upon the government to pay them their award rather than sit them down to settle issues. They've been advised to call off the strike.
And later, I'll tell you how the deplorable roads in the Korowo and Lejekoku municipalities of the Greater Accra region are affecting the day-to-day activities of motorists and residents. All that and more on Citi Prime News, which is live on affiliates across the 16 regions of the country. In the Western region, we are live on Adwenpa 100.7 in Takwa, Beach FM 105.5 in Takrade, Bono region, this is Greener FM 95.9 in Sunyain, Ashanti region, Focus FM 94.3 on KNUST campus in Kumasi, Orange FM 107.9 also in Kumasi, Volta region, we are live on Revival FM 99.3 in Tajewo, VOV Radio 95.7 in Hohoi, Northern region, Radio Bimbila 91.9 in Bimbila, Upper East, Quality FM 88.7 in Garu, Upper West, we are live on Tonsong FM 97.3 in Wa and Jirapa FM 96.1 in Jirapa.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Grateful for choosing us. Now, President Akufo-Addo has granted pardon to former Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Salifu Mimina Osman, who was serving a 5-year jail term for causing financial loss to the state. Alhaji Osman, together with 4 others, were in 2017 charged with 17 counts of causing financial loss to the state, stealing and money laundering over the purchase of a cybersecurity equipment. 3 of them, Eugene Bafo-Boni, former board chairman of the National Communications Authority, Matthew William Tete Tevie, former Director General of the National Communications Authority, and Alhaji Osman were convicted and sentenced into prison after being found guilty in 2020. The president has, however, in a letter granted presidential pardon to Alhaji Osman following a petition to his office by the paramount chief of the Pembe traditional area, Pemberua Haruna Da Bambangi in the Fuso the First. My colleague Hansen Ajuman joins us over the telephone lines with details of this story. Hansen, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. What were some of the reasons given by the president for the grant of this presidential pardon?
So what we understand is that this petition from the paramount chief of the Kimbe traditional area was submitted to the presidency on July 19, 2021. Now, this was asking the president to use his powers granted him under Article 72.1, which is the powers to use their prerogative of mercy to grant pardon to anyone. Now, the grounds of the appeal was that the convict was not feeling well and that he has been of good behavior since he was convicted. And so based on those grounds, after the president considering them, In a letter signed by Secretary to the President, Nana Bediatu Asante, the President then decided to grant the pardon to Alhaji Salifu Mimina Osman.
Can you briefly bring listeners up to speed on the details of this particular case that got him and two others sentenced?
So it has to do with the purchase of the cybersecurity equipment, which was described at the time as Pegasus. Now, it's a $4 million scandal, but according to the facts that were presented to court at the time, A4, which is Alhaji Osman, he was formerly the Deputy National Security Coordinator. He wrote a letter to the NCA asking for institutional support of $8 million, hoping to purchase some cyber security or cyber surveillance equipment. Now, based on that particular letter, the evidence that was produced in court suggested that A1, which is Mr. Eugene Bafuboni, then now through A2, the director of the National Communications Authority, then directed for a transfer of $4 million into the account of a company for the purchase of the Pegasus. Now, according to the facts that were proved in court, $1 million was then transferred into an Israeli company account for the purchase of the goods of the equipment, whilst $3 million was kept for personal use of the accused persons. Now, when the case was over, and upon analysis by Justice Eric Taylor, who presided over that case, he came to a conclusion that indeed the three persons had acted together, conspired in causing financial loss to the state, because again, the equipment which $1 million was expended for was not in use, and again $3 million had not been retrieved, and so they have then caused financial loss to the state. It was also found that A1, that is Mr. Eugene Bafuboni, he had benefited from this particular transaction, even though evidence was not proved to show that A2 and A4, that's Mr. William Tevi and Alhaji Osman, who has been granted bail, did not benefit directly from that transaction. The court came to a conclusion that they acted in a reckless and in an unrepentant and unremorseful manner. And based on these, the court came to a conclusion and convicted them to 5 years imprisonment each, while Mr. Eugene Bafuboni was convicted to 6 years imprisonment.
Grateful for your time. That was my colleague Hansen Ajman bringing us up to speed on a letter from the Office of the President which has granted pardon to former Deputy National Security Coordinator Alhaji Salifu Mimina Osman, who was serving a 5-year jail term for causing financial loss to the state. Quickly, what more do you have?
Now, the police are investigating the death of a head teacher of a Paso MA Basic School at Sechidumase in the Adra Sechidumase municipality of the Ashanti region. His lifeless body was found hanging in his room. Now, the deceased 38 years old Ernest Atache was found dead at about 4:30 p.m. on Monday, July 31, 2023. He left behind a note and some bottles suspected to be harmful substances. Now, the deceased was preparing for his wedding on the 20th of August when the incident happened. Although the exact cause of his death has not yet been established, some relatives attributed to a recent trauma the deceased suffered after he was defrauded to the tune of 7,000 Ghana cedis. A friend of the deceased, James Owusu Ansa, tells City News the body has been deposited at the morgue.
On the Monday around 5:30 p.m., we heard our brother is no more in this state again. So I quickly ran to the place to see the incident. I saw my brother being hung with a sponge on the crossbar, but per the scene, I saw that this cannot kill my brother. So I checked in the room and saw he took in some drug before hanging himself on the crossbar. And to investigation and searching the room, we saw a note being written down that take good care of my son for me. I cannot live on this earth again. Do not blame anyone. And that number was written under the paper. That's how the incident is. But the inquiries I made and when I called is that he said there's no problem there because he talked with him every day. What he is planning to is he was planning to have his wedding on 20th of this month. So he came home last the weekend to tell the family that the date is being set. So per the family, they said they were arranging themselves to come to Seco here for the program. And I asked, we have some teacher called Mr. Tete. He's also with him every day, day in, day out. I asked him that, have you complained that there is an issue bothering him? He said no. And per the guy's reaction, he so calm to us that you cannot identify anything wrong when there's a situation or something concerning him. You cannot identify.
You heard their friend of the deceased, Apostle head teacher, James Owusu, speaking there.
Now, education think tank Africa Education Watch is appealing to the West Africa Examination Council, WAEC, to implement serialization for all subjects rather than for just a few. In response to the issue of exam malpractices, WAEC announced its plan to introduce serialization in the West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination, WASI. Under this approach, candidates in the same examination hall will receive identical questions but with different question numbers. While the Senior Programs Officer of Africa Education Watch, Divine Pay, applauded the Council for this initiative, he also called for its full-scale implementation across all subjects.
This serialization should not be about just a specific subject. It should be about all the subjects because issues of examination irregularity is not about subject specific. It cuts across all the subjects. So if you want to serialize and using that to address some of the issues with more practices, then it has to be across all the subjects. I don't see why it should be for some specific subject. We piloted serialization last year. I think that should have given us enough experience to go full scale this particular year. So my anticipation is that if they want to do serialization, it should be full scale and it should be across all the subjects.
Divine Pay is the Senior Programs Officer for Education think tank, Africa Education Watch.
Still on education, the convener for the campaign against privatization and commercialization of education, CAPO, Richard Kwashi, has cautioned the government's gradual shift of its responsibility to fund primary education will soon deepen the inequality gap in Ghana's education sector, with the poor left out of the educational system. Speaking to City News during its building workshop in Takrade for unions and education stakeholders, he warned that the current data from the Ghana Statistical Service shows that there are over 4,000 primary schools running without junior high schools. This, he says, will result in some 150,000 primary school pupils dropping out of the public schools after primary 6.
If we fail to invest in public basic education, what it will mean is that if you look at the World Economic Forum recently, they published a report that says that in the next 10, 15 years, most of the current professional jobs will be obsolete. It will be taken over by technology and other things. So how are we positioning ourselves to be able to take advantage of that job market? Are we going to continue relying on gold, cocoa that we sell raw to the advanced countries? And how are they able to turn all this raw material into useful product that they sell to us at a very high price? It is knowledge, and that knowledge can only be acquired in within the education setting. So if government fail to do that, definitely we'll have serious crisis on our hands. All the behaviors that we are seeing, indiscipline that we are seeing among students, particularly due to the kind of education they receive growing up. And so if we do not invest properly to direct their energy and focus towards productive ventures, what it will mean is that they will find themselves other things to entertain themselves, and definitely it is not something that the society will want to.
You heard there the convener for the campaign against privatization and commercialization of education, Richard Koshikovi.
The National Labour Commission, NLC, has advised the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, to call off its strike as processes have already started to meet their demand. CTAG strike follows the non-compliance with the government to implement the National Labour Commission's arbitral award orders and the negotiated conditions of service since May 2, 2023. They say their agreed conditions have since not materialized, despite several letters of notice to the Ministry of Finance. In an interview with Citi News, the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Ofosu Asamoah, explained that an order has been given for their concerns to be addressed as soon as possible.
The documentation that has been submitted to the Commission, copies which have been given to the CITAG, is that their request has been fulfilled. The process has started. It's unfortunate that it came late. So the Commission has directed that they appear before the Commission next week, Wednesday. Indicated that they left their meeting, they were just on their way, which was the 31st, when they got it. And they thought that there was no issue before the Commission for determination, because all that they wanted was what the Commission has already awarded them, that paid them. So if they had not paid them, the issue was compliance. So we rather get impressed upon the government to pay them their award rather than sit them down to settle issues. They've been advised to call off the strike. After all, what they want is the award, and directive has been given. Yeah. So if that is it, then they may have to be on strike until it's paid, and it's not worth anything. Nothing can change. So.
Ofosu Asamoah is the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission.
Meanwhile, students at some colleges of education in the Ashanti region have begun leaving campus for their homes following the strike by the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CITAG. Those who are still on campus, however, tell Citi News they are stranded as a result of the development. The students who are expected to write their exams within this period are worried the strike will have adverse effect. They have thus reiterated calls for the government to address the concerns of their teachers.
The strike is really affecting us. I was talking of the level 300, it's levies and 2 weeks for them to write their exam. And even our sisters who are in level 400 and 200 are waiting for us to vacate so they can occupy the space for them to continue with their semester. But we are here. We are stranded. Yeah, we are stranded. We just do our own discussion. We need the lecturers. So we are pleading on the government to come to our aid. We have been stranded. We are roaming about. We can go to town anytime we like. This after failed experience, you just go to the school, nothing. Even some of our books haven't been provided to us. We are still waiting for the government to come to us so that our lecturers can come and teach us.
Actually, the strike is affecting us very much, especially the 300s and the level 100s. Most of the 300s have gone home. They have exams to write in the next 2 weeks. And this strike coming in has really affected their studies. Some have to go to the classrooms to have their own discussion, group discussion, as well as we, the level 100s. Instead of us going to the classrooms, some go home. Others are roaming outside, doing all sorts of things. So
you heard there some students in the colleges of education in the Ashanti region who have been affected by the strike by CITAG.
Let's still stay in the Ashanti region because the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is engaging with transport unions, including tricycle operators, as part of measures to decongest the city. City authorities have for the past few days had a hectic time enforcing a directive to restrict the movement of tricycles in certain parts of the central business district. Angry tricycle operators escalated their protest against the directive and on Wednesday blocked major roads to resist the ban. A meeting with various transport unions and KMO officials is currently underway in Kumasi. Let's go live to the Kumasi Metropolis and speak to our Ashanti regional correspondent, Hafiz Jani. Good afternoon to you, Hafiz. Many thanks for your time. What has been the level of discussion so far since this issue came up 3 days ago?
Well, so currently it's not the major focus for the discussion, but it's one of the prime issues being raised here at the meeting. So we have members from the GPRTU, the Concerned Drivers Association, the tricycle operators, their various unions, and we have also members from other transport unions who are currently on the floor asking questions or putting questions to the authorities. So we have the road safety officials from the Road Safety Authority. We have the ambulance service. We have the DVLA. And then we have officials from the Transport Department of the KMA and other stakeholders. So the drivers are talking about some measures the assembly and other stakeholders in the transport sector are bringing on board to sanitize the city. So the KMA has been talking about removing all unauthorized bus terminals within the city or the metropolis. And they have also been talking about how to stop people from offloading their goods when it is at the peak hours. So the drivers have been also raising these concerns and saying that these are some of the issues that are causing the congestion in the city. And one driver spoke about the traffic lights, malfunctioning traffic lights within the city. And he says that sometimes when there's congestion and the traffic lights are not working, that can lead to road crashes. So varied issues are being dealt with here. And the concern for the drivers is how the KMA can implement some of these measures they are bringing on board to sanitize the city. But the issue on the tricycle operators has also been taking center stage here. And the drivers are divided. Some are saying that it's not the tricycle operators that are causing the congestion in the city. Others are also attributing the congestion in the city to the activities of tricycle operators. And for those drivers who say that the tricycle operators are not causing the congestion, they want the KMA to deal with the issues of congestion in terms of removing all the illegal terminals within the central business district and parts of the metropolis, and also stop people from offloading their goods, shop owners who have their shops within the central business district and other major business centers within the metropolis to not to be offloading their goods when it's daytime. They say they can do that in the evenings when there's no traffic or there's no pressure in the city. So the assembly and the DVLA officials, as well as the road safety officials, are also taking their time to sort of respond to some of these suggestions and concerns by leadership and members of these transport unions. And the KMA is setting a target of 1st October to implement some of these directives or some of these policies to help in decongesting the city and also sanitizing the city.
Briefly before you go, do we know what has happened to the 9 persons, the tricycle operators who were arrested during the 2-day period?
So yesterday they reported back to the police because that was the order from the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ashanti Regional Police Command that if they should grant them bail, they would have to come back and report to the police. And that was done yesterday. Some of the tricycle operators who were arrested were also alleging police brutality. When they were arrested, they alleged that they were manhandled by the police. But the leadership of the unions, with their lawyer, met the police and were told that they were able to trash out this issue.
Grateful for your time. Hafiz Tijani is my colleague in the Ashanti region. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM with me, Hawa Idrisu Mustafa, and I'm here with Kweku Adriama Ansa. Still to come, Minority in Parliament questions the basis for the Bank of Ghana's decision to write off 32 billion cedis as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. We have details of that, plus other stories coming up shortly. Please stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
The entries have been received and the marking has begun. Who makes it to the next round of the Literacy Challenge 2023? Randomly selected entries will be read on 97.3 Citi FM, on Brunch in the City and the Traffic Avenue, and on Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Stay tuned to Citi TV and 97.3 Citi FM to find out who makes it to Level 2 of the Literacy Challenge 2023. Level 2. the aptitude test. The top 50 contestants from across Ghana to make it to the next round of the Literacy Challenge shall take part in a written aptitude test. Date, Saturday, 12th August 2023. Venue, Accra Digital Center. Time, 12 noon. Level 3, the live quiz. The top 10 contestants from Level 2 shall compete for the grand prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis and a trophy in a classic quiz competition. Call 0558 973 973 for more details. The Literacy Challenge 2023 is powered by Citi TV, supported by 97.3 Citi FM, and is sponsored by the Ghana National Gas Company, Wibi Crunchy Biscuits by M4 Foods, SIC Insurance PLC, Prospectus Ghana Limited, Dext Technology, Alive Soap, and Fortune Rice.
Get ready to witness a remarkable fair to showcase the rich diversity, talent, innovation, and mastery of made in Ghana products and services with the This is Ghana Exhibition 2023. Citi TV and Citi FM will allow you to immerse yourself in a vibrant showcase of authentic Ghanaian products and services in the biggest trade fair and exhibition for local SMEs, startups, research and manufacturing industries, homegrown businesses, and indigenous corporate bodies Ghana has ever seen. We shall promote, support, and patronize various Ghanaian products, solutions, and services that are redefining the views on indigenous products and their packaging across all sectors. Join us at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly on the 26th and the 27th of August 2023 at 10 a.m. through till 5 p.m. each day. Call us now on 0205 973 973 for inquiries on how to participate. The This is Ghana exhibition is powered by Citi TV and Citi FM and proudly sponsored by MTN Momo, Nalo Solutions, and Pan-African Savings and Loans.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Thank you for staying with us. The minority in Parliament has questioned the authority under which the Bank of Ghana wrote off 32 billion cedis as a result of the domestic debt exchange program in its financial report for 2022. The BOG has come under intense scrutiny for making losses of over 60 billion cedis in 2022. Speaking to journalists, ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, says the central bank does not have the right to write off losses without a parliamentary resolution.
Yesterday, I heard Addison say that because of he has written off 32 billion. Is that what he said? Go and read Section 53 of the Public Financial Management. And Section 53 of the Public Financial Management Act is very clear. It says that you cannot write off an asset of the state on the books of any covered or public entity without a resolution of Parliament. Otherwise, ECG will write it off. Cocoa write it off. Everybody will be writing it off. And the public funds will disappear. So the Public Financial Management Act under Section 53, which talks about abandonment of claims and write-off of public funds, is very emphatic. And those monies are public funds. It says, 53.1. The ministers shall seek the approval of Parliament to A, abandon or cancel or diminish a claim by the state on any other body. So you write to the Minister for Finance, say that the auditors, when I'm preparing my accounts, you have said that we should write off 32 billion. Please go to Parliament and seek approval for us to write off the 32 billion because they are public funds. You see, Bank of Ghana is not somebody's insurance company. It is not the same as Fidelity Bank or other financial institutions that you can bulldoze your way and write off. These are public funds. They must come to Parliament by a resolution of a simple majority. And the resolution must state the amount involved. It must state how much is written off.
The Bolga Central MP also questioned Deloitte and two sure auditors of the Central Bank for approving the 2022 account without a proof of a resolution from Parliament.
I want to ask Deloitte and Touche, the auditors of Bank of Ghana, whether they saw any resolution from the Parliament of Ghana, authorizing the write-off of 32 billion. And on the basis of which they approved the accounts and expressed the opinion that they expressed on the account. When you are auditing an institution, particularly a public institution, you need to be conversant with all its legal obligations and make sure that the accounts and operations are consistent with its mandate. That you saw 80 billion, you have reported that 80 billion was subjected to DDEP. You did not go to the law of Bank of Ghana to find out whether it has the mandate to give 80 billion to the government of Ghana. And yet you say you have expressed an opinion. I have a difficulty with Deloitte and Touche. These are my colleagues, chartered accountants. And they should know that these are legal covenants governing the Bank of Ghana. And you should have known right away that they have breached their own act by giving money to government that is not consistent with their own law. And you should have expressed an opinion on that. You did it. 2, they are busy writing off 32 billion, and you did not read the Public Financial Management Act to find out where is the authorization for you to write off 32 billion. And you would have seen that there's no resolution from Parliament. And you would have expressed an opinion on those accounts consistent with the breach of the Public Financial Management Act. You did it.
You heard the ranking member on the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo.
Now, the business community says the announcement by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to increase port tariffs has the propensity to stifle the growth of the businesses. The trading community explains that businesses are already bearing the brunt of the prevailing economic challenges. Thus, it is taken aback by the decision of the Ports Authority to increase tariffs as stakeholders did not reach a conclusive agreement. One of such members is the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, and its president, Dr. Joseph Obeng, has been speaking on the matter.
We found it very surprising for them, even now that we feel engaging with them, to go behind it. We haven't brought any consensus and all that for them to implement what they want to implement, especially when they increased the last ones within a year. It is not even more than a year that they increased the tariffs. And so what are they seeking? Are they seeking the destruction of businesses or what? Or the growth of businesses? It is not fair for them to do that. If care is not taken, most of us are going to relocate and do business in the Togo port, where we have some in Ghana. It has happened before, and they have to be very careful, because we cannot continue to behave like this, that it is nobody's business, and that the cost of doing business left and right should be increased and all that.
Dr. Joseph Obeng is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. Meanwhile, the Exim Frozen Foods Association is also impressing upon the Ports Authority to halt the implementation of the new tariffs. Kwame Obri-Ajay is a spokesperson for the association.
As an importer or an exporter, and I would like to say that for this particular conversation, maybe for imports, really, you would have to, the business owner would have to transfer whatever overhead costs they incur in clearing their goods and doing business at the port to the consumer. What it means is that goods become more expensive and people are unable to buy. Even for the person who is bringing the goods into town, the person might not be able to bring the quantity that they ought to bring to meet the local consumption. But I must add that I think that as a matter of urgency, GPHA must halt this decision, must come back to the drawing table, meet with stakeholders. And like we stated in our press release, we were very surprised with how the shippers authorities have handled things, because they are the regulatory agency in the industry. I think that when things like this are happening, the regulatory agency must step in. That is why they are put there as regulators. That is why we pay taxes to them to regulate the space. We need them to be up and doing.
Spokesperson for the Exim Frozen Foods Association, Kwame Obri-Ajay, speaking.
Now, a former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is calling on the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to take an urgent look into the economic and infrastructure conditions of its member countries. The former president argued that ECOWAS, which is considered the pillar for Africa's well-being community, should not only convene on matters relating to peace and security in the sub-region, but also on their economies. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, in an exclusive interview with Citi TV's Bernard Avle on his Point of View show, expressed disappointment in the struggling economies of some African countries and sought the intervention of ECOWAS.
But I do believe that in recent years, ECOWAS has not only shown that it can, in unity, address problems relating to peace and security, can start a process of working and having collaboration to address our major infrastructure problems, whether it's power or roads, whatnot. That we see that happening now. We have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Yeah. It's an opportunity. I think it's already been approved by the majority of our parliaments. So now is the time for the unity that is necessary. And let me point out, Africa is the one region that has a common passport. We don't have that in Eastern or Southern Africa.
So we are not that bad.
No, so you see, we've tried to do some of the right things.
That was former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
Now, one person has been confirmed dead and another in critical condition after a wall collapsed on them at a construction site at Ofankor Barrier in Accra on Wednesday. The construction site, located along the Ofankor-Amasaman stretch, caved in during the day. An eyewitness said the fire service personnel arrived early to assist the trapped victims. Now, the public relations officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, ACFO1, Alex Nati, says his men were swift with the rescue.
When our men received a distress call about people trapped, quickly our team from Abelimpe were dispatched to the scene. Upon arrival, they realized that 2 people were trapped. And you realize that when people are trapped, it's a very sensitive and dicey situation. One person, we checked the pulse, had died. And then the other person was alive. The most important thing is to sustain life. So we had to concentrate our energy on the one who was alive. And in doing so, we had to be very careful not to pull him in an inappropriate way, because then it could affect his spine. So you could rather do more harm than good in trying to rescue him. So we worked strategically to dig around him to be able to safely bring him out and handed over to the ambulance service for treatment.
ACFO1 Alex Nati is the public relations officer of the Ghana National Fire Service.
The Ghana Water Company Limited says the company has been forced to take legal action to recover its bills. The company has revealed being owed about 22 million cedis as of May 2023 in the Volta region alone. According to the utility company, the challenge in implementing a prepaid metering system for water has led them to stick with a postpaid metering system. This decision has resulted in numerous outstanding debts owed to the company by various organizations and individuals. Speaking to Citi News, the public relations officer for the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate, said the recalcitrant customers would be prosecuted.
The recalcitrant customers will be prosecuted, and that's exactly what is happening. And how the regions are doing it. Our system is a postpaid system. So people consume the water before they are billed and they pay. You know the way our system is. And people consume water and they have to pay. It becomes a problem. And that's the challenge that we are facing. Getting a prepaid system is also not an easy task. We have piloted it before and it didn't really help our system. So we are still looking for ways and means to get everybody to pay. And that is why we have leverage on technology, and we are doing a lot of things for people to pay via mobile customer app and all that. Okay, so and we are putting up more customer service centers so that it will be easier for people to just walk in and pay, or just pay in the comfort of their homes. But definitely you find some recalcitrant ones, and those are the ones that we'll deal with. We'll disconnect them, and if they still refuse to pay, we'll send them to court.
Mr. Marty also said there are plans in place to expand the capacity of water treatment plants in whole municipality and other parts of the country where population have outgrown the supply of potable water.
It's not only peculiar to the Volta region, but most of the treatment plants that were built in times past now cannot meet the demands of the people they supply. So definitely there has to be some expansion works. There are new projects coming up. Some of them are nearing completion, or there are various stages of completion. Some of them are yet to begin. Okay, so that is the same situation that we have for Ho. The private treatment plant now cannot meet the demand of the people of Ho and the surrounding communities that is there. And the only way out is to expand the facility. Now we are doing due diligence on some investments that have come in or is about coming in, and then we can set the ball rolling for an expansion of the whole private treatment plant.
Stanley Marty speaks for the Ghana Water Company Limited.
We do more stories now. The Teachers and Educational Workers Union of TUC has set a deadline of August 7, 2023 for the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to finalize negotiations regarding the payment of the continuous professional and skills development allowance for non-teaching staff of the Ghana Education Service. Now, TEU says the move is to ensure that the allowance is disbursed by November 2023. The union has expressed dissatisfaction with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission's perceived delay in reaching an agreement, stretching the negotiations for over a year. In an interview with Citi News, Mark Denchiri, the General Secretary of TEU, said the union may resort to other actions if the call is not heeded.
In March or so, 2021, when the President had to present his State of the Nation address to Parliament, said he has paid professional development allowance to both teaching and non-teaching staff of the Ghana Education Service. So then it raised questions. Our members felt that President says he has paid. Meanwhile, they have not enjoyed from that payment. If you recall, last year, January, TEU declared a strike on this very professional development allowance on the 5th of January. That very day, the Minister of Employment, Labour Commission, Minister of Education called us quickly to a meeting and said, whatever it is, we should suspend the strike, and that they were going to take steps to ensure that payments are made. The report has been submitted to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and up to date, not.
So we do apologize for that wrong insert.
This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM with me, Hawa Idrisi Mustafa, here with Kweku Idriama and San. Still to come, we'll tell you how the deplorable roads in the Korowo and Lejokuku municipalities of the Greater Accra region is affecting the day-to-day activities of motorists and residents. Please don't worry.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
1xBet jackpot is here with weekly massive prizes up for grabs. All you have to do is place your bets on any sports game and stand a chance to win. Simply register at 1xbet.com.gh. Use promo code JackpotGhana and place your bets. 1xBet is your key to great victories. Feel like a winner. 1xBet. Gambling can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Not for person under 18 years. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission.
Yambon continent kwayechi if it 1974 one minute sampagu a power so my yedibi 2 year hofo yedibi fagin and yedibi so chai and nase over 20 albums, countless tours around the world and state performance. World, I present to you the Pa Thomas High Life Night on the 4th of August 2023. The Accra International Conference Center will come alive with the High Life legend Pa Thomas. Come and experience style and dexterity for over 49 years in music. Smash hits like Okon for Body, Shaya Moja, Mewase, Jaisu, Miwakuma, and many more. Other artists supporting performers on the night will be Kojo Enchi, Ohinibakisi, Amantiba, Ambule, Kwabina Kwabna, Akwabwa, KK Fosu, Ochami Kwame Yuji, and other surprise acts. Tickets are going out for Standard 300, VIP 500, and VIP Double 800. Ticket outlet Frankie Sosu, Nalem Clothing, Akramo, Total Energy, Patrona Sphincters, Alisa Hotel, Ray, Grand Casamora, East Legon. Get your tickets online at vtickets.com. Star 713 star 101 hash. Event code 12. For inquiry and sponsorship, please call 0592 919 122 or 0593 433 422.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, motorists who ply some areas in the Koro and Lejokuku municipalities are lamenting the deplorable state of the roads. Authorities, on the other hand, have reacted to the concerns. There is more in the following report filed by Citi News' Rachel Engman and read by Nashika Caesar.
Bad roads in the Koro and Lejokuku municipalities have been a major concern for motorists, leading to appeals for the completion of the abandoned interchange near the Nungwa Junction Mall and its surroundings. According to them, the situation is worse, especially when it rains, as they do not only have to stay in heavy vehicular traffic, but also the manhole-like potholes cause damage to their cars.
Since they started working on this road, it's like when it starts to a certain point, then they'll stop. You see, and now for the past 3 months now, they've never come on the road again, and then they stop. So for the past 3 weeks now, when the rainfall, here all became very potholes, and then very difficult for the cars to be passing here.
Sometimes you cannot even work. It's very bad because it has been got. It used to spoil our cars. Something because when it rains, a lot of traffic. And when it's not raining too, dust, you yourself, you can see.
Reacting to the complaint, the Municipal Chief Executive of Kowa Assembly, Joshua Niborte, indicated that on Wednesday, construction works resumed.
The road is under construction, so you will witness some of these things. But I'm saying 2 months ago, the whole place was waterlogged, and motorists couldn't even ply that road. But you'll be able to fix it with stones. That's about 2-3 weeks ago. Now, what you want to talk of is the bypasses that you get it behind the mall. I've been there this morning. The machines are coming today, and then you see work on the bypass. We're going to do that from where the late Kwekuma, the former MP, died, and then they are burying him this week. So we take it from behind the Senate office, and then there's a place we call Kwedungwa. It's a police station there, and then we'll go around and then fix that one. No, it's not about the delay. You know, you have to go through a process before you get some of these roads fixed. At times it takes months, at times it takes years before you get it fixed. That place was awarded on contracts. At the same time, the Costa one was done. The president came to cut short for that project. Unfortunately, the contractor has not been able to be on site, so the contract has been re-awarded. But we want to make it more motorable before the contractor comes on site. So I'm promising you by tomorrow, let's see, by Thursday, you come here on Thursday, and then you see work ongoing there. Motorists have to bear with us, you understand. It's a challenge, but we are fixing it as a municipality and as government.
During a visit to the Lejokuku municipality, some residents highlighted challenges the potholes and dusty roads pose to them.
At last, some few months ago, the people came to do some demonstration around that they should do something about it. After that, I saw that the main one here, Century Road, so that they are working on it. But here, no one is doing anything. It's very, very bad. The vehicles try to dodge the potholes, and it brings confusion.
We are suffering here. Almost every hour, you see that the machines are dirty, dusty. Every day we have to be cleaning. You know, it's very bad. Some of our customers, they find it difficult to come here. Sometimes they park at the top there so that we take their things to go and meet them. Because of the state of the road, they don't want to pass on it with their cars. So this is what we are in now. The situation is very bad.
The Lejokuku Municipal Chief Executive MCE Mordecai Kwashi blamed the deplorable state of some roads in his enclave on the diversions that were done when the beach road was under construction, which has resulted in heavy-duty trucks using the internal roads, which is inappropriate.
Ministry of Roads and the Department of Urban Roads, we are lobbying very hard for them to add more projects, to add more roads to what they are currently doing. And we are hopeful that they will come and do this one, this Oak Street Road that is right in front of us. Okay, and then Coffee Street. Now, the reason, as I mentioned, the reason Coffee Street and those internal roads are in the state they are in is because of the diversions that were done when the beach road was being constructed. These diversions meant that very heavy-duty trucks coming from the harbor, 40-foot containers, tankers that were full of oil, had to pass through our internal roads. Those roads were not designed for that size of trucks. That is what caused the breakdown of the road infrastructure. Okay, the contractors are not at site anymore. The contractors on the beach road. The thing is that the contractor is supposed to repair the road, the diversions to the condition they were in when he made them, and that hasn't yet been done. That accounts for why roads like the Coffee Street that you just mentioned are in such a sorry state. Okay, we are in discussion with the ministry to do that one in lieu of the contractor, because the contractor ought to have done the road, in lieu of the contractor. But what the Assembly is doing in the future to forestall another occurrence of this is that we are installing gigantries.
He further revealed that a decongestion exercise will be organized soon by the Assembly.
Residents about how we treat the roads. We cannot park and repair vehicles on the road. Engine oil and lubricants, they destroy the road. Two, we shouldn't wash the vehicles on the roads. In the next few weeks, the Assembly will move to remove people who wash vehicles on the road and remove people who repair vehicles on the road. So when that comes, they should understand me. The third one, which is the most important one, is that we are recovering the pavements. Now that some of the roads are being done, the vehicular speed will go up a little bit. And it's important that we don't create a situation where pedestrians and vehicles have to compete on the road to use that. So shops and kiosks and containers that have occupied the pavements will be removed in the next few weeks.
The report was filed by Citi News' Rachel Engman and read to you by Nashika Caesar.
In more stories, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has expressed disappointment in the 2023 mid-year budget review presented by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. The association contends that government failed to mention access to agricultural inputs, which they deem as one of the most important things to the sector. Head of Programs and Advocacy with the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Charles Nyaba, in an interview with Citi News, indicated that government's plans of introducing an enhanced version of the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative must be expedited so that farmers could have access to inputs on credit as the farming season begins.
You look at the price of fertilizer is skyrocketing. Prices of farm machinery like tractor, combine harvesters, everything went up. Agrochemicals went up. So at least we were thinking that if for nothing at all, those issues were addressed, nothing happened. Now, with the Planting for Food and Jobs, which was the main government strategic policy that was supporting farmers with fertilizer and seed subsidy, was taken off in 2023 again, and that they were reviewing it and bringing back enhanced Planting for Food and Jobs. There were a lot of stakeholder engagement. We made our inputs, and then we also agreed that the previous Planting for Food and Jobs was not doing well because of the way the project was handled. So we were expecting to see in the mid-year budget what the enhanced Planting for Food and Jobs was going to do for farmers. But we didn't hear anything. What is the measures put in the agriculture sector to ensure that we stabilize the food prices? Nothing. And that is our worry.
You hear there Charles Nyaba, who is the head of programs and advocacy at the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana.
The Minister of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Dan Butchie, has expressed the government's desire to revisit the unfinished agenda towards legal reforms to facilitate the election of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives. He acknowledged that the legal reforms required to enable the election of MMDCEs remained an unfinished agenda of the government. The minister has thus directed the Institute of Local Government Studies to facilitate meetings with relevant stakeholders to foster consensus on the election of MMDCEs. Reacting to the minister's statement, Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Kojo Asante, said government needed to make the engagement participatory and inclusive to be able to build consensus.
For me, the reform of the local government system is probably one of the major reforms to our politics and our institution that we have to take very, very seriously. Because if governance at the grassroots is, at the moment as it is completely not working, then really you cannot have true democracy. And that has been a problem. Everybody realizes that it's not working. Now, we went through this 2019, and the sticking point became whether we should do it on partisan lines or not. At least the president was the one that said if we can find a consensus around the issue, then, it shouldn't be straightforward. It should be straightforward for government to champion. And I think anything less than that will not be successful. That will only be my caution, that if we're going ahead, this is not just about sending, a proposal to cabinet. It's about consultation, inclusiveness, and building a common position on how we should proceed. And I think that's the only way in which we're able to move this agenda forward.
Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Kojo Asante.
Let's bring you more stories. And the Medical and Dental Council has advised health professionals to uphold their oath and serve with integrity and dedication at an induction ceremony of newly qualified medical and dental practitioners today. Board Chairman of the Council, Professor Paul Kwame Nyame, said integrity is an important virtue that should guide the new professionals.
The most important for me is integrity. That I will never stop talking about. Integrity. That means people knowing and expecting you to do the proper thing. And it comes all the way down to the way, even your appearance. I consider that as part of, you must reassure your patients that you are proper. Number two, you must be on time. Like the registrar said earlier on, you must relate well to the patient by the way you speak to them, the way you treat them. If you can afford a smile, give them a smile, and so on. So just good relations with the patient. Most importantly, don't go and do the wrong things. We complain a lot of a certain type of behavior in our community. I don't think people should get involved in that. So integrity for me is the most important.
Board Chairman of the Medical and Dental Council, Professor Paul Kwame Nyame.
And that's how we end today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studios in Adabraka, Accra. The news was also live on all affiliates across the country. Western Region, Ajunpa FM in Tekwa, Beach FM in Tekwa, the Bono Region, Gurina FM in Sunyain, Ashanti Region, Focus FM, KNUST Campus in Kumasi, Orange FM also in Kumasi, Volta Region, Revival FM in Tajiwu, VOV Radio in Hohoi, Northern Region, Radio Bimbila in Bimbila, Upper East, Quality FM in Garu, Upper West, we were live on Tonsong FM in Wa, and Japa FM also in Japa. Please log on to citynewsroom.com for more stories. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa, and I was here with
Kweku Eduyama Ansa.
Ni Latte is up next with the afternoon's edition of Citi Business News. Many thanks for your company and do have a great afternoon.